You know how when you walk into a room with a certain set of people, you sound one way, like, hey, girl, what's going on with you? Nah, I'm just chilling. And then, like, you get a phone call and it's somebody for business, and you're like, hello, yes, how are you today? Right? You got a whole different tone. And that was to the point where you automatically switch it on and off. Like, you don't even have to think about it no more. Yeah, you are a master code switcher. But what if it's not just about how you talk?
Welcome to Codeswitch Rebellion. This is the unfiltered podcast for Black women who are done shrinking, chasing perfection, and performing professionalism in their own business. I'm Melanie L. Denny, aka Melly D, personal branding consultant and the identity strategist. This is where we talk about what it really takes to build a personal brand rooted in who you are, not who you were conditioned to be. Round here, we have real, raw conversations about what it means to show up with integrity, authority, and bold authenticity so you can attract better clients and bigger opportunities. Let's get into it.
Ooh, we're going to talk all about code switching because we named the podcast Code Switch Rebellion, but we have not really dove into the concept of code switching. So in this episode, we're going to break all of that down. We're going to really define what code switching actually is. We're going to break down the different ways that it shows up beyond just how you speak. And then we're going to explore the impact that it has on how you show up in your own business. Let's get into it. So when we think about code switching, I think the default is this is just changing how you talk, changing how you speak, changing your tone, changing the words you use, eliminating any slang or AAVE, aka ebonics, and just like talking in a professional manner. Basically, it's kind of like using the English rules. But honestly, to me, that's really surface level of code switching. To me, code switching is more about shifting your identity, right? So it's not just your language, but it's also your appearance, your behaviors, your expressions, and all of these things you do to fit in, right? To be able to be accepted in the environment that you're in. And it's also to make other people comfortable in different social settings or like at work, professional settings, right? Because we all know who set the tone there. Check out the first episode if you don't know. So, yes, it is about switching, between different dialects, your language, right? Linguistics, as they call it. But it's really about cultural norms, right? It's about changing your mannerisms, your tone of voice, your body language. It's about how you show up physically with your appearance, how you wear your hair, what clothes you wear, right? Because you want to meet these professional expectations. We do this so that we can literally just gain acceptance in the spaces that we're in, right? So it's not just language for us, especially for Black women. It impacts our behavior, our emotions, how we present ourselves visually, and our energy. And really, that's a result of being in spaces that were never built for you. Now, hear me out. Code switching is a form of survival. I want y'all to understand that. We do it to survive in those spaces because if we show up any other way, we are immediately rejected, right? So, hey, that's unprofessional. Hey, you're going to get written up. Hey, no tattoos. Hey, no piercings. Hey, no head wraps. Hey, no big jewelry. Your outfits are distracting. Hey, your language was inappropriate. When really all you said was, hey, girl, hey, versus a good morning, Jessica. So when we talk about code switching, I want to definitely explore why we do this. Because again, it was literally based on survival. It was not about being weak or abandoning ourselves or not loving who we are. It probably morphed into that over time, but it was really a smart move on our part because when we built things historically, when Black people built businesses on our own, the white folks came and destroyed it. So we ended up working at these white spaces, and we figured out very quickly what was acceptable, what was too much, and what was rewarded, right? And it wasn't, again, it wasn't about being insecure in who we were. It was literally about being aware of our surroundings and knowing how to fit in, how to make sure that we are not ruffling any feathers, we're not offending anyone. As much as possible, we need to dim ourselves. We need to be quiet. We need to just speak how they speak and not bring any of our own identity with us, because it was a problem, is still a problem. So like I mentioned, it's like way beyond just how we speak, right? Our vocabulary, our cadence, the way our tone changes, because sometimes when we speak, especially as Black women, we tend to be seen as aggressive because we're passionate, and our passion has been demonized like we are offensive or someone's in danger because we're talking with a little bit of passion or with a little bit of oomph in our voice. Like, come on now. It's also like our energy levels. When we come into place, sometimes we're like, hey girl, hey. You ever notice when Black people gather, there's high energy in the room? Think about it. A Black church, everybody's jumping and dancing, right? When we go out to the club, everybody's having a good time. Even brunch has become energy, because that's just who we are. We are energetic people. We're not vanilla. We're not bland. Like, we are energetic. But we have to tone that down, right? When we get into these corporate professional spaces. Our hair, our clothes, like all of it. And one key thing too is that emotional suppression. Because we are passionate, because we have a sort of mechanism to defend ourselves, because we recognize the bullshit and we not about that life and you not about to play us, then we have to tone it down, because now we're coming across aggressive and like, I'm in danger. I feel like my life is in danger because this Black woman said something with a tone. Like, come on now. So now we have to suppress that stuff and make sure we speak even keel, make sure we don't show too much emotion. It's just a lot. And then sometimes it's intellectual. Now, I've heard this a few times. Sometimes, most times, a lot of times, white leaders, especially particularly white women, and I've heard this from people that I talk to, my clients, etc. When you know more than them, they now are threatened. So part of the code switching becomes, let me downplay what I know. Let me not speak up too much. Let me not show like I can do her job, because then she's going to be out to get me and she's going to want to build a case to get me out of there. I've heard this story multiple times from Black women.
I got a quick question for you. Do you keep attracting the wrong clients or no clients at all? Something's going wrong with your personal brand, boo. And that's okay, but before you can fix it, you gotta really know what's going on. You gotta assess and see what needs to be fixed so you can take the next best steps. If you're ready to get off that struggle bus and stop winging it, book a digital brand audit. This is a personalized deep dive on how you're showing up online. We dive into what's working, what's missing, and what's really holding you back from those opportunities and those clients that you know you deserve. Book your digital brand audit today.
So overall, if we're switching up all these things, our languages, our behaviors, our visuals, how we look, our emotional, our intellectual, at what point do we actually stay true to ourselves? Right? Because you're not just switching up how you talk, you're literally switching up how you exist. And that becomes an identity issue over time. It's cool if you can do it once or twice here and there, but like, we are in these spaces day in and day out. Over time, we are eroding our identity. And then when we leave and start our own thing, we bring all that crap with us, because now we think it's the standard. Because over time, we repeat it, right? Every day we go there, we put on this facade, we do the things, now it's a habit. And you know what habits make up? Constantly doing a habit, it becomes part of your identity. So now you edit yourself and you dim your light and you dim down without even thinking about it, right? You automatically filter how you show up. And you don't even recognize some of these things that you were doing. And then it actually gets deeper than that. Like when you have to like cover your ass, make sure everything's in writing. You have to cover your ass in emails and such because they out to get you the hell up out of there at any instance. Like, it's a lot. It is a lot because we can't just focus on doing our job. We have to focus on making sure that we're not making any mistakes and we're not leaving any room for error for anybody to come and say, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. That's a lot. And it's traumatic. That's traumatic. And then when you move out of there and you start your own thing, again, you're bringing all this conditioning, all this training, all the things you've been doing over time, all the habits that you've created. And now you think that that is a part of you. And the whole premise of this podcast is to undo all of that and make you realize that's not a part of you. That was a part you needed to survive in corporate. So now your messaging is not strong because you're like, oh, I don't want to offend. Let me make sure I tone this down, right? You are avoiding anything that's cultural, right? You're not using no slang on your content. Your web copy sounds like a corporate job description with all these random corporate jargon words. Like, you're playing small because you don't want to show up too big and too bold because you've been so used to having to dim your light that you feel like this is the standard. You over professionalize your brand because you feel like, you know what, this has worked all this time in business. When I was working for a company, this is what's going to work on the outside. And I'm here to say, no, it does not have to be that way. Right? Because when you think about it, doing all those things is literally what I call survival branding, because you're using the strategies you use to survive in corporate into your own business, and it becomes survival branding, and you're not showing up fully as who you are. I want you to come to your business as if your business and your clients are your best friends, as close as possible. Some conversations with your besties are no good for business, but in general, get as close as you possibly can to showing up with a hey girl, hey vibe in your business. Because what you're doing, even though you don't have to code switch at work anymore, you're code switching in your own brand. And that's crazy work. And I get it. It's all about protecting yourself, protecting your livelihood. You got to get that check. You feel me? And so when you're there, you have to do what you have to do. That's fine. It is what it is, because the issue there is way bigger than me and my little podcast. It is an institutionalized, systematic problem that needs to be gutted from the inside out. And it's going to take a lot of effort to make that change. But when you start to show up in your own business like you do in corporate, now you're basically disconnecting yourself from your own identity. Your voice gets diluted, and it really shapes how you show up and your brand more than you think that it is. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff that I see on people who come to me that want to work with me on their website that I'm like, this doesn't sound like you at all. We've been talking for some time, and like, I really don't get the vibe of you, right? And this is about your personal brand, you as the product, because you are selling a service that you provide. So think about who you are when you're not adjusting. Think about how you show up with your girlfriend, your sister, your family, and try to stay as close to that as humanly possible. Because I'm here to let you know, the people who are drawn to you are going to spend their money with you. And it's not just a service. They're buying into you, who you are, how you work, how you operate, why you do what you do, what makes you tick, your story, your values, all of it. Codeswitching pretty much kept you safe in that corporate environment, and I get it. I totally understand it. But the problem is now you don't have to do that anymore. But now you get to decide how you can show up. I had a client one time She was a service provider. And I met her in a Facebook group, and she was putting out such beautiful pictures. I was like, damn, I love her branding, right? And she incorporated something that she loved, which was shoes, into her branding. It had nothing to do with shoes or fashion, and I loved that. And she would be posing very cute with her shoes, and it was just like, damn, she really got this brand. She branded herself very well. Anyway, finally, we connected. I talked to her, and you know what she told me? She just started posting herself because someone told her if she was going to be successful in business, she could not show her face because she was black. And did you know when she started showing her face, everybody started taking notice? Wonder why that is. Could it be that we connect with other human beings and we want to see the person we're doing business with, and we thrive off of connection, human connection? That's why personal branding is so important. And that's why how you show up is so important. You want to just be who you are as much as possible and infuse who you are into business as much as possible. So that's really how it doesn't feel like work, because you don't have to put on a facade. You don't have to put on a show. You don't have to perform to now switch into business mode. Being who you are, walking through life, you're always in business mode. You're always in personal mode because you are the same person. And I do understand the nuances sometimes when you walk into a room. Sometimes it's about communication, because if you walk into a room full of white folks and you say all this, ebonics, they're really not going to understand what the hell you're saying. So then it becomes a communication issue, which is different from not being who you are. Because you can still speak with a certain cadence, with a certain, twang in your tone, without saying slang words, with using standard English vernacular. But when you think about the English language, who started it? Who created it? And then who said this is the standard for how we speak English? Some white folks, some old white men, right? So you have to understand everything is rooted in them. It centers around them. So they literally made the shit up and was like, hey, this is how we doing things. And we were like, okay, bet, this is how we gonna do it. We literally just all universally said, we're going to accept that this is the way in which we speak the language of English. But then there's subsets of how we speak English. So when you go to the US, you think about the United States, you could tell somebody from the South, somebody from New York, somebody from Midwest, somebody from California. We all have different dialects. And so culturally, Black Americans have the AAVE dialect. So who's going to tell you, hey, you can't speak like that in your own business when you the boss? Who going to write you up? I'll wait. I'm telling y'all, the more that you can be real and just be authentic and connect with other people, the more people will be attracted to you. So listen, this was another Code Switch Rebellion podcast. And don't ever forget, your identity is the strategy. Deuces.
If this episode sparked something in you and you want to continue the conversation, join me over on Substack. I would love to hear your thoughts on today's topic. Till next time, y'all, remember, your identity is the strategy.